panel now to discuss some of the things that we're learning that are taking place. I think it's important to touch on this story the Washington Post has written this morning, saying that there may have been a relationship of some form between the officer and George Floyd. Amisha, I think I want to hear your perspective on this. Are you surprised? Does it change the story at all in your mind?
I'm not surprised, and I don't think that it actually changes the story. We know that in many cases where there is police brutality or violence involved, there has been at least one interaction between that police officer and the individual that they end up killing. So I'm not necessarily surprised by that. What I am surprised by and continue to find problem with is that the media and its coverage of this has been so far just throwing all types of shade at rioting, but has totally forgotten why this occurred to begin with. These were protests. These are people who are very upset. These are people who are in the midst of a very tragic situation. We have one guy arrested right now. There are 3 others that are still roaming free who could have stopped all of this from happening. And I think that we can't lose sight of that. We can't lose sight of the fact that normal for America is what we saw in Minnesota. The only thing that makes this a national attention or news spot is because someone filmed it on their cell phone.
But notwithstanding the genesis of this, Ned Ryan, should we still allow or forgive what some of these protesters are doing out of hand?
I mean, Rick, the problem is they're kind of undercutting some of their argument. I understand the frustration. I mean, criminal cops are the worst. They have been given and trusted great trust to enforce and uphold the law. They rely upon our goodwill, and for this to happen, they have betrayed our trust. And yet those who have gone from protesting to looting are undermining some of their argument. But I have to say this, Rick, they worked together for 17 years, Floyd and Chauvin as bouncers together. I do think there's going to be something that comes out. There's a layer of complexity that will be added to it, not to dismiss at all. Those 4 police officers, every last one of them should be arrested. There should be consequences for them. And I'm very interested to see what happens to those other 3 officers. I hope they're also arrested in short order as well.
All right, I want to bring in, hold on, we're being told right now the charge is 3rd-degree murder. Is that right, Joe? I'm hearing you tell me it is. Okay, the charge is not manslaughter, it is 3rd-degree murder. According to sources, I don't know where the original manslaughter report came from, but the information is just coming to us, so we wanted to clear it up as soon as we possibly can. Is there a major distinction there? I think I need to get back to you, Ronald Hampton, on that. Is that a difference or a distinction? How do you view it?
Yes, sir, it is. It is a major distinction. Manslaughter has some elements to it that are very different when we talk about murder. And so the most serious charge, this individual as well as the 3 other officers ought to be charged with murder too.
Ben Swan, let me bring you into this. There's something bizarre that happened last night in the middle of all the coverage as police were trying to remove people from the area near the police precinct that was burned. Suddenly, CNN reporters were arrested by police. It did not seem, but I'm going to let the viewers see it for themselves and yourself, that the reporters were being obstructive in any way. In fact, here it is, and then I want your comment.
Do you mind telling me why I'm under arrest, sir? Why am I under arrest, sir?
Officer's with CNN and he's on the air right now.
Okay.
You are arresting him live on CNN. We told you before that we are with CNN.
If you're just tuning in, you are watching our correspondent, Omar Jimenez, being arrested.
I don't know if you guys saw it because the producer was talking to me and we were catching up on some details, but I just want to make sure our audience knows. That reporter told the police, officer, we'll go wherever you want us to go. Please understand that we want to be in the background. Please tell us what to do. He was 100% cooperative with the police, and they arrested him anyway. Since then, the governor of the state has profusely apologized not only to CNN, but to all members of the media for what happened there. Ben Swan, to you.
Yeah, I think it goes back to exactly what we're talking about. Look, this entire conversation surrounds major issues of abuse of power. We're seeing it over and over and over happening in Minneapolis and across the country. We've seen it for decades. I was in Ferguson. I was in Baltimore during the Freddie Gray riots. And then once again, we have what's happening in Minneapolis. But with CNN, you have a news reporter and crew who are essentially saying to officers, we're just covering what's happening because there was a fire at this precinct. And we're live on the air and asking, where do you want us to go? Where do you want us to move to? And the officers won't tell them where they want them to go. They simply just arrest them, which again, I guess just goes back to this abuse of power, this ability to be able to kind of stomp on people. And that's what's driving so much of this anger and frustration in Minneapolis and across the country. People sick and tired of living in what feels more and more like a police state.
Why would, I mean, Officer Hampton, why would a police officer arrest a member of the media or the press who is literally doing his job in that moment without explanation? Is that training?
No. They are told, and you are when you're a police officer and you have these type of situations, you're told to allow the media to do the job that they're there. They're not there as agitators. They're not there as protesters. They're there doing their job. That's why they're given badges. That's why they're given ID cards. That's why they're given the appropriate tags to wear around their neck and let them do their job. But as the gentleman just talked about, it's clearly an abuse of power. And this isn't the first time, because in Baltimore as well as in Ferguson, the media was stopped, detained. I think it was in Ferguson when they were held and stopped and detained in a McDonald's. And yet the police knew that these guys were part of the media and working, but yet they still wanted to do it. So this whole notion about abuse of power is something that is lingering and has been a part of the process all along. And that's what people are railing up about. And they're going to continue to push back.
My thanks to all of you. What a conversation. This is an important conversation that I'm sure all Americans are going to be having throughout the course of this weekend. Amisha Cross, Ronald Hampton, my thanks to Sean Stone, Ben Swan, and Ned Ryan. Thanks so much to all of us for participating in this important conversation.